Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
All of our guests today on Donnie and Dolly, including Brendan Batchelor. We're going to have Brendan here? We are? Okay. Are sponsored by Basant Motors. Get to Basant Motors where the spring rides. She's a cool ride. Are ready to roll right away, right now. Pay no GST or get free gas for a year. Put winter in the rearview mirror. Learn more at Basant Motors. BAS. ANTmotors.com. I thought you'd laugh. There was a Seinfeld reference.
Yeah.
Ryan.
Ryan's rattled. It's Monday.
George Costanza? No?
What?
Okay. Never mind. Look it up.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think the quote was, she's a cool ride. When he's trying to play the bad guy. No?
I'm sorry. I have no idea. You know me. I know a lot of Seinfeld, but I...
Anything? No? Nothing?
No, nothing. I'm lost.
He's kind of playing a 50s tough James Dean type guy.
Oh, okay.
Derek, no?
See,
You don't remember this?
No.
James
Somebody
Dean was
out
the
there.
best.
somebody in the inbox probably will.
James Dean was great.
Brendan's ready to go, by the way.
Okay. Brendan Batchelor joining us now, voice of the Canucks on Sportsnet 650. Canucks losing to the Kings yesterday by a score of 4-1. Hosting the Kraken tomorrow as the season winds down. Brendan, big Seinfeld fan, joining us now. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Full disclosure, I forgot I was doing the hit, and I'm in the middle of a run around Mundy Park, but I'm here now. Let's do it.
Oh, my goodness.
In beautiful Coquitlam. Staying in shape.
He forgot about us, Donnie. Are you kidding me? That's what happens.
Apologies. I'm here, though. I'm ready to roll. Let's do it.
Okay, so Brendan works for Sportsnet 650. I do a hit every Monday on Sportsnet 650 with Dan and Sat. And a couple of weeks ago, I forgot I had a hit. So you're excused, Brendan. It happens to everybody.
You must be hanging around Drance. That's the reason.
Yeah, I spend way too much time with Drance.
Get away from him. He's a nut bar.
Hey, Brendan, 3 straight losses. In those 3 losses, the Canucks have given up 15 goals. What are you seeing defensively right now that wasn't there when the Canucks were on a roll under Rick Tocchet?
Yeah, things have been a little bit more loose lately, and I think part of that is probably due to the fact that there's been some different personnel in on the back end with some of the injuries. Of course, we saw Akito Hirose make his NHL debut last night, and it's 15 defensemen the Canucks have used in a game this year now. So, part of that plays a factor too. But I think, this was a run that they probably weren't going to be able to sustain over the long stretch anyway. And, it's getting to the end of the year. There's only 6 games left. It's probably human nature to kind of look past some of these games that now officially mean nothing as they were eliminated from playoff contention mathematically last night. But hopefully they can, kind of settle some things in their own zone, get back to the kind of hockey they were playing, and finish the season strong as a group.
You mentioned Akito Hirose, your opinion of it, and I loved his interview afterwards, supremely confident, but your opinion of his NHL debut.
Yeah, I thought he was good. Obviously, he wasn't going to be thrown into a ton of difficult situations, but there was one play in the first period where, he kind of made a nice move behind the net to elude a forechecker and played a good outlet pass up the board. So, he looked confident. He seemed confident, as you allude to in talking to him after the game. He was just sort of like, yeah, it was good. It was fun. But at the same time, it was just another hockey game. And I asked him about, do you take a moment to sort of savor the fact that Drew Doughty was on the other side and you're going up against one of the best defensemen of this era? And he said, yeah, it's kind of cool, but at the same time, it's just any other hockey game. So you like to hear that from a young player. And, for a guy that there's been a lot talked about his size and how that's going to fare for him as he enters pro hockey, I thought he had a good debut last night.
Brendan, great opportunity for Jack Rathbone here. The 500 injuries on the blue line. What have you seen from him? Do you see him parlaying this into a regular spot next year?
Yeah, that's interesting. It's sort of going to depend on how much they do in terms of trying to rework the blue line in the offseason and, what sort of money they move. I would assume at this point that they've brought back Christian Wolanin on a 2-year contract that, if Rathbone's here going forward, then he'd have to beat out someone like Wolanin to make the NHL roster. And who knows what the future is with Oliver Ekman-Larsson on that left side of the defense. But I liked Rathbone last night as well. I thought he looked the most confident that I've seen him in an NHL game in quite a while in terms of carrying the puck, distributing it well, moving up the ice, getting up into the rush on occasion as well. So it's important for him after having another season where he wasn't able to stick full-time at the NHL level, went down to Abbotsford and had some injuries, that he have a strong finish to this year for his own confidence, regardless of whether he's going to be a piece of the NHL picture in Vancouver going forward or not.
Brendan, some people get it, some people don't. Quinn Hughes ice time, 29 minutes last night, 11 minutes in the third. His last three shifts were 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Your thoughts? I mean, these are meaningless games, but he's getting 29 every game?
Yeah, I mean, 29 is probably too much, but I understand Rick Tocchet wanting to lean on his horses and play his top guys because those are the guys that are going to carry the mail for him going forward, and he needs to have buy-in from those players. And every time we ask Quinn Hughes about this, he says, I want to play. Throw me in there. I always want to play. Rick Tocchet talks about the fact that he's always looking over his shoulder at Adam Foote, wanting to get back out on the ice. But at a certain point and to a certain extent, the coaching staff has to kind of protect Quinn Hughes from himself a little bit. And, you know, with Tocchet revealing that likely Delia and Demko are going to split starts the rest of the way, you hope that they can back off of some of Quinn Hughes' minutes so that they don't run him into the ground or risk an injury here late in the year. But at the same time, another point that Hughes has made is, you know, if I was lagging in the third period or looking like I was tired or not continuing to play to a high level, then I would understand having my minutes reduced. But Hughes has still been good throughout most of games and into the third period when the Canucks need him in key moments. So I guess we'll have to wait and see whether that minute total ends up as high as 29 or 30 over the final 6 games here, but it wouldn't surprise me if they back off those minutes just a little bit.
Brendan, we've seen them a couple times in the last a few weeks, but what did the Kings do well? What did they show you last night and you know, for the entire length of the season? They're not spectacular, but you look at the standings, that's spectacular.
Yeah, they're just so stingy, right? They're a defensive team that, you know, they don't give up a lot. And last night's a perfect example. They're playing on the second half of a back-to-back. They had to travel into Vancouver, albeit just from Seattle. So it's not like it was, you know, incredibly taxing travel, but they find a way to get a lead, and then they just shut things down. They simplify the game. You know, it's all of the cliches we hear from NHL head coaches. They get pucks deep. They get pucks out of the defensive zone. They force the other team to earn a game-tying goal or to earn a way back into the game, and the Canucks just weren't able to do that last night. So, you know, that to me is the hallmark of a team that could have a lot of success in the playoffs because, you know, it's so hard to get anything from them, and anything that you do get, you have to earn, and you have to earn it the hard way. So I'll be very interested to see how LA does in the playoffs. It wouldn't surprise me if they go on a little bit of a run based on the way that they play and the way that they have been playing in recent weeks.
Okay, we're talking with Brendan Batchelor. Brendan, we talked earlier about Akito Hirose. What is Aidan McDonough, who scored his first NHL goal against Calgary on Friday? What has he shown you in 3 games?
Yeah, I thought he looked probably his best game of the 3 was the game last night where he did some great work on the forecheck. He doesn't look overawed by the moment. He gets in and tries to compete in puck battles. You know, one of the things we'd heard about was maybe his skating, but he's been, you know, able to keep up to the pace of play at the NHL level for my money. So I've really liked what I've seen from Aidan McDonough. And initially coming in, I was sort of the mind that, oh, you know, this is a guy that's obviously very hyped because of how well he's played in college, but it might take him some time to really figure out the pro game. And, you know, it may still take him some time to break the NHL roster on a permanent basis because we know that Jim Rutherford, with his track record from Pittsburgh, often liked to slow cook his prospects in the American Hockey League. But at the same time, McDonough's not an 18 or 19-year-old or 20-year-old coming out of junior. You know, he's played college hockey for a number of years. So it's entirely possible that he could come into training camp and compete for a spot on the roster. And if he doesn't end up breaking camp with the Canucks next year, then you can go to Abbotsford, you can play some good minutes, you can work with Jeremy Colleton and his coaching staff, which obviously have received great plaudits for the work they've done in Abbotsford this year. And that might be the best thing for a guy like McDonough and, you know, Hirose as well. And, you know, some of the players that they bring into the organization or get into Abbotsford here over the next few years, because it does seem like they have a really good thing going out there in the Valley. And we've seen the mistakes that this organization has made by rushing some of their prospects in the past. And I like to steal a line that Ray Ferraro always uses where he talks about the fact that nobody was ever hurt by being slow cooked, right? You can hurt a guy by rushing him to the NHL too quickly.
Yeah.
But if some of these guys spend some time in Abbotsford, it's not going to hurt their game. It's only going to help it. And I think that applies to McDonough as well.
Okay, you're out near where I live. I know Mundy Park fairly well. Brendan, there's a bear behind you.
There's a bear behind you.
Might want to get back. Might want to get back on your run there.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Thanks,
Okay,
boys. Appreciate it.
get going. Thanks for joining us, Brendan, mid-run. Brendan Batchelor.
Yeah, thank you.